This program is sponsored by the Bank of Nevis Limited. Thank you, the Bank of Nevis.
Banking is now an essential part of our life. That's why the Bank of Nevis Limited is making life easier for all of our customers. As a bond customer, waiting in line is a thing of the past. Deposit checks or cash at any one of our Charlestown ATMs today. Short on funds? No problem. It's easy making withdrawals using your Bond Visa debit card. Experience how much easier life can be with just one swipe of your debit card. Whether it's online or in store, we've got you covered. Easy and delicious. Now that's a great combo. We fully understand that sometimes life can get hectic. Log on to Bond's online banking platform and with just a click, you can save the day by easily transferring funds from your savings to your checking account. Just like that. And your funds are transferred in real time. Perfect. With a single swipe of your debit card or a few clicks for online banking, the Bank of Nevis Limited will continue to improve the quality of your life so you can continue to live your best life. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Hi there. Welcome to On the Tourism Trail. I am your host, Pamela Martin. And today I have with me a guest, Miss Kashma Evelyn-Nisbett. Welcome, Kashma.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, good. I'm excited to talk to you. There's lots to talk about today. First of all, though, congratulations on your recent nuptials.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was last week?
Yes.
My goodness.
It's actually an exact week. It was last
exact
week, Monday.
Oh, congratulations.
Yep.
And
Thank
where did you get married?
Here in Nevis.
Oh,
yes.
Wonderful. And where exactly? What location?
Oh, so I had two locations, actually. So the actual ceremony was at the Cottle Church over there in the Newcastle area, and then I had the reception at the Mount Nevis Hotel.
Okay. Beautiful locations.
Yes.
And it was a dreamy day?
It was. Well, it started out with a lot of rain.
Oh.
And I got really, nervous. I started calling, my husband. I started calling him. I'm like, do you see the weather? Because we got dressed at two different locations. And then by the time we were ready to walk down the aisle, it was perfect. It was, beautiful weather.
Oh,
yes.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, and so the reason I invited you here today is to talk about your career, what you do. You have an Instagram, well, your handle is Food for Cash. Yes, Food for Cash. So tell us what you do and why the name.
Sure thing. So I started my career back in 2019. So it's been I can't even count, 4 years now since I started my career with Food for Cash. And I got that name for my love of food. So I started taking pictures whenever I go to restaurants. I will be that annoying friend that say, hey, wait, don't touch your plate.
Don't eat yet.
Until I take a picture. So I always say the camera eats first. So I would always take pictures, videos, and I think people around me started noticing, why don't you document that? So my husband, he was one of the persons who would say hey, why not throw those up on Instagram? That's where I started first. Okay. And I got very nervous. In my head, I'm an overthinker. So I said, I don't think people would care. Who cares if you're eating food? Who wants to see that? But then, after getting a lot of encouragement from my family, my sisters, my mom and dad, I just said, let me just take the plunge. So I started, my career on different social media platforms, not only Instagram. So I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and now I'm on YouTube as well. Wow. So, with that, I just, hopped into that career of, documenting different recipes I create and also working with different brands and restaurants. So what that looks like, if there's a restaurant that needs some type of promotion, I reach out to them and say, hey, I can promote your business. And the way I do that, I will go in, take pictures of the food and just document myself eating the food and then having a good time. Because I feel
What a career.
Yeah,
Eating.
It is, for sure. And I would say, when I first started my career, I ate so much. And with that, guys, please know that you will gain weight. So that's something I had to learn how to balance.
Wow.
Having fun, but also, working with what I really love to do.
So now you have about 40,000 followers between all of your different platforms.
Yep.
And so let us talk about the foods what caught my attention was the fact that you actually feature a lot of Nevisian food.
Of course, yes.
Right? So you have 40,000 followers who are seeing you cooking, eating foods from Nevis, which is how you are an ambassador, really, for Nevis. So tell us how talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you cook, why you choose what you do. I know the other day you said you started to eat a sugar apple, and you said, I never used to like sugar apples, and I thought it was quite funny, because but you're like, it's not too bad. But talk to us about some of the things that you've cooked specifically that are Nevision, and some of the things that you enjoy.
Okay, so I would say when I first started, like the first year, I was mostly focused on like American stuff. When I say that, it's like American restaurants in New York and Boston. And I think through that, I kind of like said, it's not me. It's not a good representation of who I am.
Right.
Because, I'm born and raised here in Nevis, so I wanted people to see that side of, my business.
Excellent.
And I think by doing that, I really immersed myself into, making Food for Cash an actual brand that is well recognized here on the island as well as, internationally.
Right.
So when it came to like, what can I do? I just started thinking about like growing up in the kitchen with my mom. Like, I have two older sisters, and, she would always prepare different meals for us, whether it was my mom or my dad. And we would just be there, especially something like Johnny Cakes. That was something she would always make for us. And I'm like, why don't I just, replicate what my mom does and actually document it?
Document it.
Yes. So I started off with my Johnny Cakes and saltfish. And let me tell you, Pamela, like, there were lots of people with a lot of comments. They were like, first of all, this is not what we call Johnny Cakes. Like, I would have, like, people from, like, Jamaica.
Different islands do it differently, and they name them differently, and they make them differently.
Yes. So not only was I putting myself out there, I was putting my country out there.
Right.
Because this is what we're known for. Our little island of Nevis, we're known for our Johnny Cakes, we're known for our saltfish.
Of course.
So it was just a way to show that this is how we do it.
Right.
Whether it's, something that you're not accustomed to, I just wanted to highlight that and bring it back to my roots. So I think that was really important for me.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. So this is what you do all the time. This is your job. This is your career.
It is.
So for those people who may be watching and thinking, well, you're eating, you're documenting what you're eating, how do you make money from doing that? So talk to us about how you monetize this.
Okay, I think that's like one of the golden questions.
Yes, I'm sure.
So my career first started back I graduated from college in New York in 2013, and I was in I would say I am in the marketing field.
Okay.
So I started off in the marketing field, and then after a while, back in 2019, I said, I want to do this, something that I want to do as a hobby. So I did it as a hobby for like 3 years, and then in the last year that I've been doing it, I just did it full time. So with that, of course, I was like, Kashma, how are you going to pay your bills, right? So
you have to eat, but you really have to eat.
So what I did a lot of research. I think that was important, because I feel like with any career, if you want to take that big step, do your research, I would say.
Right.
Because it's important to actually know what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
So I started reaching out to different people I see on Instagram, especially like doing this. Like, do you guys get paid for advertising?
Right.
Because I'm thinking, if you see an advertisement on the TV, of course someone is getting paid some kind of way. So I started talking to different people, and they were like, you actually do. So it is a thing. So what I did, I took it back to the drawing board. I created what we call a media kit. And what that includes is how much I would charge like a business for a photograph or a video.
Okay.
And I would say, like, for example, if I'm working with a brand that sells like fried chicken, I would reach out to them and I would send them my media kit. And they would say either yes or no, we want you to advertise. And what I found, that people were taking a liking to it. I think they were very intrigued by my authentic approach, with my accent, as I would always say. They like that there's someone else, who would actually advertise for us. So after I realized I'm getting sort of like a different traction with that, it took off. So I just try to market myself in a way like, hey, I can actually bring your brand business, and people will pay you for that. So that's how I would say, I started off monetizing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you monetize, which means you advertise for other brands.
Yes.
And then you also just cook or go out and eat at different places just for your own content, to create content for your platforms.
Yeah. So one thing too, like when I was creating recipes for myself, I was trying to figure out like how can I monetize in that way too.
Right.
So then what I did, I had to like pivot to try to figure out like what kind of brands would want to work with me if I'm like doing like culinary from like Nevis, you know what I mean? So like I started off with reaching out to a brand like who creates like flour. So
Okay.
I incorporate the flour, and he wants you to like product placement,
Oh,
and I will make my Johnny
wow.
cakes.
Excellent.
So that was a way that I was able to like make money, but still doing what I
Right, so
really
you're still,
love.
you're still keeping with your culture,
Yeah.
but you're using their product.
Yes.
It's excellent.
Yep.
And so how is it going so far? What else? I mean, I know you travel back and forward quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just because you want, you want to kind of keep in contact with your family here?
Yes.
Or I know you always take content while you're here as well.
I do.
So is that part of the reason as well, because you want to keep the content coming?
Yeah. So I would say that, after, being in New York, that's where I'm based, I had a lot of content from New York, and I wanted some more, like, Nevision stuff, things over in St. Kitts as well.
Right.
So whenever I came home, I always try to like capture myself, eating something local, visiting a local place, even if it's a place like the Newcastle Pottery, I would go there and I would take my cameras with me.
Right.
And I would always like put it all on my social platforms. So I think, people could always like have it at the top of their mind.
Right.
That, hey, she's from Nevis,
Right.
and this is what, she has to offer and show us. So I really love, just coming back and getting all that content.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to get into this kind of area, what would be your advice? Because I mean, obviously, everybody's Instagram crazy. Most of us watch Instagram, but what if you want to actually be a content creator? I mean, how the skill with the camera, taking, how did you learn all of that?
Okay, so for that, I can't take all the credit, I would say, when it comes to like camera stuff. Because if you notice my content, some of the stuff, I'm actually in them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have my husband, he's actually the one behind the camera, so he helps me a lot. So I would say, if you find someone who, you love their work, if they have like an eye for videography, photography,
Right.
just ask them a question. And I think that's what I really learned within this career. Like, don't be afraid to ask someone a question. People are very willing to
Right.
help. So I think that's one thing, that really worked in my favor, just, being bold and asking questions when, I see someone that's their expertise, and
Right.
just give me some advice on how I
Right.
can get this done. So for anyone I would say who wants to be like a content creator, be yourself. That's like the number one thing.
Right.
That is like the number one thing I would say, because like one quick thing I could share that when I started off and I was creating videos, I would always say I wouldn't use my real voice. What I mean by that, I would try to speak as properly as I can, but then I didn't feel like myself. So when I started talking with my real accent, then I was like, people like, oh, she's different. She's doing something different. I've never heard that voice before.
Because you would stand out.
Yes,
Absolutely,
exactly. So
absolutely.
the advice I would give, don't
Right.
be afraid to ask for
don't
questions.
copy somebody else. Don't try to be
yourself.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So what else? What other areas? I mean, is there a way that you're going to grow? How do you grow? How do you develop? With this platform.
Sure. So I'm not only doing like food, food photography, food videography. I've also like branched out into lifestyle type of content, and what that includes is like me visiting different hotels and showing my family, them enjoying like the hotel fees and stuff like that. And that too is like a business that is taking off. Travel. Like travel is, really taking off.
So you travel in the Caribbean only, or you travel outside of the
Outside
Caribbean?
of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Like most recently, went to Colombia, and I did some work there as well. Like went to Cartagena, and we did some, work where I work with a restaurant there. So it's not only like, travel within, the U.S. or
Okay.
just back to Nevis. Like I try to do travel, different islands, different countries where I can actually work there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't just feature the food alone, you feature the actual where you are as well. Okay. Because I think I have seen some of the footage you have hotels, even on
Oh, yes,
Nevis.
I was about to tell you
Exactly.
about that. Yeah. So recently, when I came back, I was able to, partner with the Park Hyatt St. Kitts.
Wow.
And also the Four Seasons Nevis.
Wow, awesome.
So, that is how, I'm trying to grow my business. So, I'm not all about food, but it's about, branding yourself. Branding yourself, what you can actually bring to the table, and your view and your angle of what you can, showcase.
Okay.
So I think, that has really been working.
So what would it have been like at the Four Seasons? Like, what was the
Seasons?
angle?
Okay, so at the Four Seasons, it was more so of like a family type of oriented content.
Okay.
So I had my two sisters, their husbands, their kids, my husband, and just showcasing like a bird's eye view of them enjoying like a property. We were at one of the villas, so
Okay.
just showing them having fun at the pool, like different things we're ordering in dining or anything like that, and just showing people having like wholesome fun.
Right.
Yeah, so when you see my page, you'll see a lot of different things, so I'm excited for that.
Excellent. So, yeah, it's. I think it's really, really incredible. I think what you're doing. I think we, like I said, we look at Instagram all the time, and we don't actually realize that someone like Kashma is featuring Nevis to her 40,000 plus followers. So you really are a tourism ambassador. We want to wish you all the best as you continue to grow. And all the best as well in your marriage as you go through, and continue to come back and share with us as you grow and develop. We'll be happy to hear what you move on to next.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here, Kashma.
It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Okay, so that wraps it up for this edition of On the Tourism Trail. Join us again next week. Bye for now.